So one of the things you can find when you go to Excel and you enter a date, say I'm entering June 1st, and I press enter, it comes out with this formatting. So you might not want that formatting. So say I wanted to change it to June 1st, 2021, it still has that. So how do you fix that? You can click it and you can come to this custom and click on short date and it will fix it. Enter, if I want to do January 2022, I say January 15th, again we get this weird formatting. So we can click and change it to short date, but you see it says 2021, so you can just come here and change it. 2022. Another weird occurrence of dates, we can, if we click this and we change the format to general, you get these weird numbers. So once in a while you'll see a number like that, and you see here it's that number 2. We're going to change it back to the date and it fixes it. So what's happening is this is actually the internal representation of a date in Excel. So this is the number of days from January 1st, 1900. So this should be like 45. I might be off by a day or something like that. So this number, the nice thing about it is if I add 1 to this number, plus 1, it actually knows that this was a date, and it adds 1 to it. Well, we formatted it as a date. So if we go back, you see, so this is one date. So, and you see Excel puts in the formula 82 plus 1. So just one other thing you might see with a date is a common function would be now. So if we say equal now, and you see it returns the current date and time formatted as date time. So we say now, and then because we formatted this as date, we lost the time. If you wanted to see the time, you could do time. So anyway, so this is now, and let's get the whole thing. Actually, I think you do general, and you see here it's a number, and there's this fraction here, and this fraction is actually the percentage of the day. So the day is, I could see 0.45. You can ignore that. 45% done. So which is 50% would be noon, and 25% would be like 6 a.m. So let's see if we can get a time out of this. Let's say time, and you see it's going to show me this kind of time format, which is not what I want either. So the only way to get that is through a number format, and we would have to do time, and we can click that one. So there it is, 10:49. 12/13/2021, and it's 10:49 a.m. So another error you might see is, so if I wanted to find out how many days, how much time between 2 days, I could say, let's say January 1st, and you see that just updated, January 1st, and that'll update every so often. 2022, and so let's do this date minus this date. Now here's another issue. So it comes out as, what does this mean? So again, because I said the whole column was a date, it converted it into a date, and if we convert it into a number, you'll see it's 38 days away. So this minus this, A5, this date minus an old date gives us a positive 38 days in the future. But what if we flipped it around and said A4 minus A5? 4 minus A5. And here you get a negative. I think you'll get this issue is if we convert this to a date, and it'll show up as pound signs. Here it is, short date. So if you ever see this, it just means your calculation is a negative and it can't show as a date. So here's the cases. So there's a various issues with date. Another issue I've seen with dates is sometimes you'll see a date that looks like this. Say it says 02/17/2021. So now it says that it's a date, but if I add 1 to it, this plus 1, and it is a date. It's smart enough to know that it was a date. Even though I entered a single quote, which usually says it's a text field. And that's why it's moved over to the left. I guess it's smart enough. If we change this to general, it'll probably still. Okay, so Excel figured it out in that case. But there are cases where something like this is a string. So let's actually, I know how you can do it. If we add a space to it, it still figured it out. Let's try one more. Let's add a space here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it looks like a date, but it's not a date. It's actually a string. There's a space here. Let's get rid of this one. And when we try to add one, we can see that it's a value. I can't. The problem with this value error is I'm trying to add a number to a string. So I mean, you can see the same thing if we enter a string and we say equals this plus 2, and you get this error value. So that's just an example of some weird date formatting. Dates is number, and this in a cell. And just one other way you could see that number in a cell is if you, let's say we type a number, and we do that. You see, you also get this this weird format. And just one other thing while I'm here, I'm going to show you. If you have a very large number, Excel doesn't show you the whole number, but it saves it internally as this. Now, if I make it longer, it does it. So one of the things you might find is happens, you lose some significance of the number, and this happens to be in what's called scientific notation, and it really is the same as 3.4. We'll put a formula here. 3.3 my hands are on the wrong keys. 3.49435, and we lost all that other stuff, times 10 to the 39th power. And again, if you don't know about exponents, that's kind of in another lesson, but it's the same thing. And you see we get the same thing. If we say are they equal, is this equal to that? And the answer is false, because you see that has more significance. Let's fix it to add these rest of the things. So let's get this whole thing and see if they're equal. And now they're equal, even though they don't look equal here. And again, you could increase. Let's see what happens if we just keep increasing it. And so it did lose some of its. I don't know if this was the whole thing I entered. Let's try another one. Okay, so now we know this is definitely longer, and we get a number like this. And let's increase it. So you do lose some data here. And there it goes. So that's all it's stored up to. And you can see even these numbers lose some of the value. There are ways to store it. So if we did want to store that number, we could store it as a text file. And text, you would enter a quote, a single quote in front of the number. And now instead of a text, it's a string. And can you add 1 to it? I don't think you can. Let's see what happens. So let's say equal this plus 1. It might convert it, and it did. So it converted it to this number, and you'll see it's going to lose. There it goes. And there are ways in Excel you could deal with this. I've done some work with that, but so that's basically some of the issues you would have